In our master bath, beside our maple vanity, we have this floor grate, and you can see it's below where a hand towel is. And the finish I had put on, the clear coat I had put on, clearly hasn't lasted so well. It's been 18 years. So this is what it looks like right now compared, here's the vanity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out of the spot that it's in right now, sand it down, and refinish it and see if we can bring it back to looking just as good as it did when I put it in 18 years ago. Now this actually comes out in two parts. There's the center part here, which comes out, and then we have the frame here that comes out. So I got these two pieces out. Now I can take them outside and sand them down so that we can start refinishing them. I'm going to start by removing this plastic piece. I think it's a slider where you can adjust it with these screws to adjust the amount of air that's going through, but I don't want that on there when I'm trying to sand and refinish it. So I'll just remove that. What I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with hand sanding. I've got 120 grit, I've also got 220 grit here. I'm going to start with hand sanding because I'm not sure I want the power of my random orbital sander right now. So I'm going to try this, and if this works, that's fine. If not, I'll have to get out the random orbital sander. Wow, after the first few passes, it's clearly taking off the finish I put on before, which obviously wasn't a great attempt before. But as with most things, we get better as we learn more and we can do things better. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this all up. Okay, it's amazing what that has done already to take the old finish off. I'll just put these side by side so you can see them. Look at how different that is. So now I've got it pretty much down to the raw wood. I'll continue with this one with the 120, then I'm going to switch to the 220 to clean it up and get a nice smooth finish there. Now on the bottom here, you can see that there's some discoloration. That I think is actually from the tile set material underneath that this sits on. So that should clean up fairly well. And I'm not sure if I actually protected it before, but obviously I need to do that this time. That was a mistake last time. So I've sanded it all. I'm going to wipe it down, get all of it clean, all the different edges and surfaces here. Get that nice and dust free before I go in and put the finish on. Okay, so I've got my two pieces here sanded nice and smooth, wiped off, and now we're ready to go put the finish on. I'm back inside because it's too cold outside to put any finishes on. I'm going to be using Minwax's Polycrylic. This is a water cleanup based clear coat. I don't want any color on the maple. I just want it natural to match the vanity. I have a specific brush and stir stick that I only use for polycrylic. Again, you can't shake polycrylic. You have to stir it before you use it. And then what I've done is I've placed each of my pieces on these painter's triangles. These lift it up off of the surface. I can put the finish on the top very nicely, and I know it won't stick to the surface here. Then once it's all dry, I'll flip it over and do the coats on the other side. You have to make sure it's totally dry because otherwise these little pointer on the triangles can make a mark. So I'm going to put 3 coats on. I'm going to sand very lightly with 220 grit in between to remove any imperfections and to give a good surface for the next coat. So I'm going to go ahead and start stirring my polycrylic so I can put that first coat on. Okay, so the first coat is done. Now we'll wait 2 hours, do a light sand, and then second coat, and same thing after the second coat, wait 2 hours, light sand, and then the third coat. The first coat is dry, and so I'm going to take some 220 grit sandpaper and very lightly sand the surfaces that I put the finish on. Again, smoothing them out and getting them ready to accept the next coat. Then I'm just going to take a cloth and wipe them down. Okay, so the second coat is done. Wait for it to dry, a couple of hours, and the same thing, sand, and then we'll do the third coat. I left it overnight again to dry, so now both the bottom or back and the top front are both done with 3 coats. So now I can take them back upstairs and put it back in and see how much better it looks than what it was before we started. So I've got both the pieces here. I can just slide it back in to place, and now it looks so much better, and it so much better matches the finish on the vanity that's right beside it. So that's how you can refinish a wood floor grate when it gets worn and make it look so much better.